Stuart Varney is the anchor of Varney & Company on Fox Business weekdays at 9:20 a.m. He joins us now. Stuart, I saw a story yesterday. You know how this happens sometimes? I know we had you booked today, and I saw a story, and I said, I cannot wait to ask Stuart Varney about this.
What is it? Go.
Stuart, the United States is now ranked number 12 in the world in terms of free economies. And you know, you hear people talk about, yeah, I love the freedoms we have in America, but we've got to do something about income inequality. We've got to do something about the capitalist system isn't working. I think people don't understand that you can't have one without the other. If our economy is not free, our nation is not free. Were you shocked at this study?
Yeah, I really was, actually. I think we dropped 3 positions down to number 12.
Yes.
Which that in itself is a shock. The idea that American economic freedom, we as a country are no longer in the top 10 of economically free countries.
Really quickly, I want people to recognize who we're losing to. Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, Switzerland, New Zealand, Canada,
yes.
Chile, Mauritius, which I don't even know what that is because I'm an American, Ireland, and Denmark.
Not to mention Estonia, let's not forget them.
And Bahrain. Bahrain is one behind us.
Right, right behind us. Look, there is a link between the degree of economic freedom that you have in your society and the prosperity enjoyed by that society. As our freedom has been restricted, so too has our prosperity. There is a direct link between the two. The Obama administration doesn't seem to believe that. It believes that government can rectify everything, and that by stepping in and preventing an extra degree of economic freedom, somehow or other you confer prosperity. They've got it exactly the wrong way round.
All right, so I want to talk about this minimum wage thing that's going on. I mean, the Democrats are pushing very hard for an increase in the minimum wage. Here in the District of Columbia, they have passed a bill which says the minimum wage will rise to eventually $11.50 an hour minimum. That's by July of 2016. Maryland is making moves as well. In the grand scheme of things, do you think we need to raise the minimum wage, or it should just let the market take care of it?
I think the market should take care of it. This is a substitute for introducing better jobs, more jobs, economic growth. You give me 4, 5, 6% growth, and this economy will create far better paying jobs, which those people at the lower end of the spectrum, those people making minimum wage, can jump out of that lower tier and move up the food chain. You don't legislate wages. That's a sign of failure. It's a fundamental failure of the president's economic policies to create growth and good jobs and plentiful new jobs.
Stuart, I mean, I would hear some people would listen to what you're saying. So, well, you just don't care about poor people.
Yes, I'm really harsh. I'm a rotten foreigner, fresh off the boat, and I don't care. Well, that's absolute nonsense. You go my way, you go the way of free enterprise, and we raise all boats. We introduce opportunity, move up that food chain. That's what people like me came to America for.
But Stuart Varney, you mentioned fresh off the boat, and immigration is back in the news again. And I see 2 different stories here that I want you to try to connect for me. On Friday, we got the unemployment numbers, and we found out that we have the worst job participation in America now, the lowest number of people actually in the workforce since 1978. It's the good old Carter days all over again. And yet at the same time, yesterday, the CEO of Marriott said that we need an immigration reform bill so that they can staff their hotels and their resorts. Seems to me, if they're needing immigrants to staff hotels and resorts, and we have so many people not in the workforce, here's a solution just waiting to happen. What's wrong with our economy that people who are not in the workforce can't take these jobs at hotels and resorts?
There is a disconnect between the jobs available and the skills of those people who would like to take those jobs. There is a disconnect between the two. It's a function of our poor education system, maybe. Maybe it's a function of the poor work ethic. I don't know. But there is a disconnect right there. If you've got all of these people unemployed and a big hotel chain says, we need immigrants to staff the jobs that we've got available, you know there is a disconnect, and you know that there is something wrong.
So there is some truth to the idea that these are jobs that Americans, legal Americans, aren't willing to do or aren't able to do?
Either can't or won't do. Yes, there is that disconnect, yes. Now, again, you're making me sound harsh. You're making me sound as if I'm blaming Americans because they're not going to work hard enough or they don't know how to do this, that, or the other. I'm not blaming them. I'm saying that the fault lies in our education system and, to some degree, our culture. That's fact.
in Maryland today, they're going to propose the legalization of marijuana, and they're going to say we're going to make it legal, we're going to regulate it, and we're going to tax it. Because you see, in Maryland, they have taxed everything that they can tax, and they have run out of things to tax. They even tax the rain. My God, they tax you when you flush your toilet in Maryland. I'm not making this up. And now, what do you think about this move toward legalization and decriminalization of marijuana, Stuart?
I personally am in favor of legalization.
Wow.
I think the downside of legalization is less than the downside of the war on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
I do. I'm with you,
here.
Stuart. I'm with you. Brian is very worked up today about it.
I got a question, though. What happens to those who drive a car stoned?
Yeah.
What is the marijuana standard for driving? I know the alcohol standard, 0.08, I believe, in your blood.
Yeah.
What's the marijuana standard? Is there such a standard? I don't know.
There is. My understanding there is. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's because it's been illegal. We don't have to know it to pass our driver's test. Stuart Varney, always great to have you. Thanks for joining us. You are on fire today.
Hey, thanks, everyone.
It's 7:44.
Thanks, Stuart.